Welcome to the Shark Bite Show, where we dive into the stories of our members, coaches, friends, and family of Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition. All right, let's roll. Katie, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, me too. This is one of the ones you probably should have done sooner. I feel like this will be really entertaining. So first off, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do for work? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so all those questions are really hard to answer.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we'll start with where are you from? I was born in Nebraska. When I was 2, I moved to Virginia. Lived in Virginia, and then I moved to Minnesota, and then New York, then Minnesota, and now I'm in Florida. So I am from around.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I have to answer that question the same way. People ask me where I'm from, and I'm like, I don't know the right answer to say to that.
What is, wherever you live the longest, maybe? I don't know. Now I tell people I'm from Florida because I like it here.
Yeah, I do the same thing. When Chris did the podcast where he interviewed me, he asked me that question. I'm like, man, I don't know how to say that. But I just say Florida because it's way easier.
Yeah, exactly. And who am I? I'm a lot, I guess. I'm a business owner, which is cool. I kind of fell into business owning, entrepreneurship. Still can't really spell the word. Can you?
Nobody can. I mess it up. Without autocorrect on the phone, I would mess it up every time.
Every time. And I'm a new CrossFit coach, which is super awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm a yoga teacher. And yeah, I'm just taking every day, one day at a time.
Well, that's cool. First off, how'd you find us here at Shark Bite?
So I found Shark Bite on Yelp, which Nick laughed at when I started.
I did. I 100% laughed at that.
So yeah, I came down here and I wanted to find a CrossFit gym, and I typed in best CrossFit gyms, and Shark Bite came up, and I tried it out and met you, and here I am.
What was it like walking in? I remember meeting you. What was it like walking in that first time? What was our conversation like? What was the intro like? What were the first couple months of Shark Bite like?
Yeah, so I came from a similar gym up in Minnesota, which obviously I think makes it a lot harder. You have to leave your home, your community, your family. I mean, when you're part of a gym like this, it's your family. Mm-hmm. And so the standards are a little bit different than I think if you're walking into just a regular gym. And I walked in and everyone was really nice. It was really diverse. There were all different types of athletes. Like some people you could tell have been doing it for a long time. Some people were brand new. And I knew immediately. That was it. And I sat down with you and you said, all right, what do you want to do? And I joined. And it's been awesome.
Cool. What about the first couple months, right? Because you moved down here not knowing anybody, right? And we've talked about this. Mm-hmm. So did I. Not many people have experienced that. You moved to a new place where you had no connections.
Yeah, so Nick was my first friend, whether he knew it or not.
Hey!
And I didn't know anyone. My dad was a seasonal, but he wasn't down here at the time. And I walked into the gym and I was like, people always talk about how making friends as an adult is hard, but it's really not when you're part of this type of community. And I knew that going into it, so I was pretty excited. Honestly, my first 3-4 months at the gym, I hit PRs that I literally did not think I could do, and Nick has been part of some of them.
I remember the deadlift situation, right? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and explain that.
So I actually had a friend in town. We were deadlifting. It was a max, I think, 2-rep, 1-rep day. And in my mind, I could not go over 200. That was never happening. And of course, Nick's helping me out. He's giving me some tips. He's loading up my bar. And I lifted the bar and put the bar down. And I learned later that it was 205.
I was steadily sneaking weight on there every time you turned around. And you kept being like, 175. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, that happened with everything. There was a day I'm like, I can't do a pull-up. And Ashley, a member at the Fort Myers gym, was like, why don't you just try it? And well, I did a pull-up.
That's cool.
Just jumped up and did it, and that was that.
Well, so you talked about moving down here and how it's kind of harder to make friends, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a real thing that people don't love talking about, right? I'm 33 and not in college. I'm not at a job where I don't know everybody already.
Yeah.
How does someone in our age bracket make friends other than this kind of thing?
I mean, and for somebody like me, I work for myself, so I don't even go into an office. I don't leave my house unless I'm going out to hang out with friends or going to the gym. And I don't really know how other people do it. I guess I've met a lot of friends through a running community or through a golf league or through joining the gym. I think that's the best way. I think for me, you're around like-minded people. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to find people that like to do the things I do. They're already there. Mm-hmm. You just have to connect with the right ones.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I know that Steph, my girlfriend Steph, she wrote a blog about this recently about how much harder it is to make friends when you're in your 30s, right? Because when would you organically find them?
Yeah.
You know? And then I always tell my friends when they get out of the Army, go join a gym. Find a gym like ours. It could be CrossFit or whatever the hell the name is. It doesn't matter. go join one and stay there for a while and just meet people that you're going to get along with, that are not necessarily, people you're meeting in bars or people you're meeting elsewhere. We go to bars together, but I would also much rather meet you outside of there and then take you there.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about what we do is it's not even just about the gym. They all had a surprise party for me. You all did in February, and we have a field day coming up. There's been kayak days. We do beach days. The gym is our workout, but we've all explored Florida together now.
Yeah, right. I always want to think about that. We work out together, right? But that's just the common thread. This is where we make our community. Everybody that I've met down here, I don't think I'm making this up. Everybody I've met down here has been through this gym in some way,
Yeah.
Many of them don't come here anymore, but that's okay. They're still part of my connections.
Right.
A couple months ago, I approached you about becoming a coach at Sharkbite, right?
Yes.
I felt like you'd be a great asset to the team. I thought you'd be a pretty damn good coach. What was that like for you? Because I think you felt the opposite when we first talked, right?
Okay, so I'm not inherently a rule follower. So with that comes, you ask for a lot of forgiveness versus permission. And I think is good, except for you also live, I think you might kind of be like this too. You're always kind of towing that line of did I do something wrong? Am I in trouble? So when I went to 6 p.m. class, which you never see me at, I never go to 6 p.m. class. I don't know why I was there. And Nick asked if he could talk to me after class. So I immediately was like, I've said something or I've done something. I'm definitely in trouble.
It's so funny to think about it, right? Because I wouldn't think of you being in trouble for anything.
There was nothing I could have been in trouble for. But, that was so unexpected. I taught yoga I still teach yoga for 5 years now, and I don't think being a CrossFit coach was something that had crossed my mind now because I was pretty new to CrossFit, but now as I look at it, it was so obvious. It was going to be something I was going to do. You just sped that up for me probably 2 years.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that was the thing that I think I told you, and I'll tell it so other people can hear it, is anybody can work out really hard, right? Your ability to lift a bunch of weights has nothing to do with your ability to empathize with others or to help others learn or to help teach others or to genuinely give a shit about helping others, and I think that's a major problem in the fitness industry is kind of you're the fittest, therefore you should be the coach, and I could see right away in your first couple months it was okay, this is a super empathetic person. This person gets hyped up when other people succeed. She wants to help others. She might be saying a bunch of the wrong stuff, but that's okay. We can teach that, but you had the intangibles that come with becoming a good coach. Not a good cheerleader, not a good yeller, a coach, a person that others would rely on to get better from, and I felt that immediately.
Thank you.
It was more a matter of okay, is she going to stick with this? Let's give this some time to ruminate a little bit before we even have the conversation. And that's exactly what happened. So.
Yeah, I'm so happy you asked. I cry a lot of happy tears at that gym because I truly, truly care about everyone so much. And my joy is in seeing them get a PR or even more importantly, do something they didn't think they could do. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be a PR. It could be stepping onto a box after a surgery or having a kid and coming back into the gym and doing something they never thought they could do again. That is just the coolest feeling, to be able to guide someone through that. So I love it.
Yeah, we do those quarterly career roadmap meetings, right, with all the staff that we just did, and that was the number one thing I think everybody on the team said between all three gyms, which is what I was what gets you the most fired up? What do you love the most? And they were helping someone do something they didn't think they could do. And man, if you're a coach, that's the stuff, you know. And if that doesn't get you amped up, you probably shouldn't be a coach. Go work out.
Yeah, right.
And that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
If I'm with you. You watch someone who didn't think they could jump on a box for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
That stuff is wild.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
And it makes you a better athlete. I think what the athletes don't realize is that as being part of their journey, they're actually making you a better athlete too. Because you get to see what they struggle with, what their fears are, and sometimes you can forget about that stuff.
Yeah.
So take a step back and actually be able to see that in someone else. I don't know, makes me a better person, athlete, friend, business owner, everything.
Right, because then you start to see I'm probably experiencing that as well, and I just haven't verbalized that yet. Yeah. When I first started coaching, I don't want to say I couldn't do it. I didn't know what a squat snatch was, right? I didn't know. I was pretty sure snatch was the thing where you put it over your head, and I assumed squatting involved with squat snatching, but I had no clue what that was. And then I remember one day it was on the programming, and I was like, shit.
I'm coaching this.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. So I went and researched it a whole bunch, and I faked it real well. And then that was okay, I should probably learn how to do this first, and then learn how to coach it really well.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So now, when you started the internship, we had a hurdle pop up right away. Right away. Now, I think the true cause of this is still undetermined, But you had an injury, right?
Yes. Okay.
What was that injury?
First of all, I don't like telling people how I got injured because it's really dumb. And I have since I got injured, met someone with the same injury that got her injury aggressively dancing at a wedding. And I wish that was my story. But I was not aggressively dancing at a wedding. I was doing double unders, which is another skill. If you would have asked me 4 months ago, I could have told you I couldn't do. I was doing double unders, and, you know, I think a lot went into it, and I've thought about this a lot, and not to get, like, too woo-woo, but I will say this injury will change my life for the better in so many ways, and I've, like, accepted that, and so maybe that's how I got hurt. It was, like, it was just going to happen.
Yeah.
Could have been walking off a step or doing a double under, the meniscus was going to tear in half, and here we are.
I think there might have been some boat dancing involved in that as well. So
there was some boat dancing, yeah. And you know, I'd had surgery on the knee before, and this is a knee that's had a lot of love, a lot done in the past years. So it's done a lot of marathons and played hockey, and you know, it's been through it.
Well, so we were on day what, like 3 of your internship?
Yeah.
When that happened?
Yeah.
So just to be clear, you tore your meniscus, right?
Yes, I tore my meniscus, which what I have learned, there are a lot of ways to tear a meniscus.
Oh, yeah.
And I will never project my meniscus story on someone else. Go talk to a doctor.
Yeah, because there's so many different,
Yes.
and you probably got so much feedback, right?
So much feedback, and honestly, a lot of people who I think tear their meniscus have it like trimmed off, which is so awesome for them. That is like a week-long recovery. You're back in the gym. So, of course, I went into the doctor. That was going to be my story. My story is much longer. My story will probably be 3 to 4 months till I'm back to normal. So that's been a learning process.
Well, so we was like day 3, day 4, you tear your meniscus. We have a talk about it. You were like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, shut up. You're staying on board, right? You are still on board with this, right?
I thought you wanted to fire me and I hadn't even started.
No, not at all. I was like, all right, we're going to work around this. And I'll tell you what, selfishly, like that was a great learning experience for me. That was a great learning experience for the other coaches, right? But I think it was probably a really good learning experience for you too, right? So what was the internship like, doing all of it, going to get your CrossFit Level 1 certification, doing the hours upon hours of internship we do? Like, what was that like on crutches?
Yeah, so I tore my meniscus, and then I had my L1 that following weekend. So that, I was so nervous. I mean, I was already having a little bit of imposter syndrome. I'm like, this just came out of nowhere. I'm going into this. And then I went to this L1. And honestly, it taught me to meet people where they are in a way that I don't think anything else could have taught me. People came to me and acted like it was just completely fine, where I was the one showing up acting like it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool for me to see. So I went through my L1. I learned how to adapt pretty much every lift that you would ever imagine. I could walk you through a way to adapt it now, which I don't think I could have probably done before. I spent a lot of time sitting on a bench, watching, coaching, and then coaching from a bench and learning the power of words. I can't demo anything, so... There
we go, right? So visual, verbal, tactile cues. A lot of people really get into visual. You had to really get into verbal, right?
Yeah. But yeah, we learn in yoga teacher training that if you tell someone to get down on the ground and put their toes together for child's position, most people will actually like sit on their butt and put their feet together. And you see that in CrossFit. You tell someone to like lift their arms over their head. There's 15 different ways someone could interpret that.
Totally.
You tell someone to pull their belly button to their spine. What does that mean? Like that could be anything.
Yeah, that's the one we specifically talked about.
Yeah.
Like belly button to spine is like such a common cue.
Yeah.
That means a million different things.
So like you have to meet them where they are. If their belly button's not going to their spine, like being able to talk them through that versus you can't really show that. So it's taught me a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because you don't necessarily fall into this because you're a good athlete, but like I know that I was not a good athlete, and I think having a hindrance of some kind definitely makes you a qualitatively better coach, right? Because you have to overcome struggles first. You have to feel what it felt like to get through those struggles, and then you can help others get over those struggles themselves.
It's so important. It's hard to teach something you just were born good at.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know how people struggled.
Like meeting somebody who's like good at math, you know, but they can't teach anyone else math, right?
Yep.
I think that's another one of the problems with coaching that we see a lot, is that really good athletes get into it, and then they're like, what do you mean you can't squat?
Yeah.
They're like, dude, I can't do it.
Like it just doesn't work.
Yeah, the thing you're saying is not the thing my body's doing.
Yeah, it's cool though. You get to see that, and you know, we talked about this. Nick and I got done a few different things over the last couple months. We had a what was the name of our course officially?
Oh, the Advanced Theory course.
Advanced Theory course. And we talk a lot about like meeting people where they are. And I know we were talking this the other day when we did our training with Nicole. Is you show up at the gym and somebody can do a ring muscle up. and you just tell them to go do it, or if somebody can do a 300-pound back squat, you just tell them to go do it. Like, maybe that's not where they are that day. And so, like, you really learn a lot, I think, through coaching, especially being an injured coach, to meet people where they are that day and asking questions and walking them through that process. And maybe today Nick's going to show up and he's going to scale everything where you're not usually a scaled athlete, and that's okay. But being part of, like, the empathy in the coaching process in everything, not even a coach, a business owner, a parent, a friend, meet people where they are instead of, like, telling them where they are.
Yeah, and that's like an adaptation you have to learn, right? Because for most of us, that's not super natural to do. It feels abnormal to be doing that, you know? That's a really good point too. People showing up and if they're normally like a quote unquote RX athlete, but that day they're like, man, I want to drop some weight off the bar. You know, I think in the old days of me being a coach, I might have gone up to you if you were doing that and being like, why don't you have more on? You know, and then now after having helped people live through their experiences so much, I go like, I'm just gonna say, okay, this is what we're doing. Here's what our goal is. Let's try to accomplish this. You know, let's get the best session we can out of this.
Yeah, I love that, because you don't know. Like, they might have had a bad day at work or had a fight with someone. They might have had too many beers last. Like, you don't know what they did.
Yeah, totally. And it's not our job as the coach to say you should be doing this. It's like, what do you want? Okay, here's how you do it. You know.
I remember that. I don't remember. It was right when I started doing CrossFit or functional fitness. The coach would say it should feel like this, and I'm like, what doesn't feel like that for me? Like, what's wrong with me? But what I've come to learn is, like, you shouldn't really tell people how they're gonna feel, because we all feel so different.
Totally.
Everyone in a squat's gonna feel different.
Yes.
And, like, there are like key points of performance, but you may feel something in your hips very different than I feel, and, like, by telling someone what they're supposed to feel, like, throws everything off.
I've squatted with you. My hips definitely feel different than yours do. Yeah, you squat like it was like made in a lab and like how you're supposed to squat. I squat like someone showed me without like showing me the pictures. You should. I squat like someone told me you should feel like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like crap. So.
Right? Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't look like crap.
So you now that you've been coaching for a little over a month, right? A little over a month.
June was my first official month.
There we go. Yeah. And we're recording this on July 1st. So that's a full month of coaching. That's fantastic. You've been doing group classes. You've started with one-on-ones. We have your first beginner coming up next week. What have you learned so far? Because you're still on the mend, right? But you are far more mobile and functional than you were when you were in your internship. So what has it been like for this month so far?
Yeah, I actually told Sue, one of the coaches at Fort Myers, it took about 3 weeks for me to get off of what was written on paper and get into what I felt right in my heart and my body to coach. And, you know, so as a coach, we have the list, the notes and everything. And I think you and I talked a little bit about this. And it tells, like, how to walk the class through their progressions. And I feel like I finally am comfortable enough with the movements and being in front of the class where I can now say, this class is a little bit more advanced, or the people in this class need something different, and I can start to veer off of that. So that's been really rewarding for me, because I feel more comfortable in my voice there.
I like that. Yeah, we did talk about that, right? We have a little behind the curtains here. If anyone doesn't know, we have coaches' notes that we'll all follow, so that if you come to the 5 or 6 a.m. class, you get the same thing that the 5:30 or 6 p.m. class gets, right? But what's cool is, right, like you said, you look at the class, you take note of who we have, and we say, okay, based on these individual members' abilities, skill levels, individual goals, we might want to modify this, you know? And I think that's one of the real benefits of being in a gym where the coaches know you by name and have worked with you for months or even years, you know?
Yeah.
I had Holly on here recently, Holly Simone, a couple episodes ago, and she is one of our original members from this gym, so from the Cape Coral gym.
Cool.
So she's been with us 8 years, and she and I actually went to another gym before that together, right? So the difference is when she shows up to a class, I know what Holly wants, you know? I know what she really wants, what her short-term and long-term goals are. So I can just say, like, I know the coach's notes say this, but Holly, you're doing this today. And
that's so awesome.
It's cool. It's cool that you're starting to feel that.
Yeah,
you know, you're right. You take a class, and it's not just like skill level, right? It's individual wants. Like if I have Megan in a class, I know she wants to lift some weights, dude. Like she wants to move, she wants to break some iron.
Yeah.
You know, if I have Lauren in a class, I know she wants to sweat until she almost passes out, right? So it's like, how can we get both of those goals?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The psychology of coaching has been really interesting to me, and even just down to there are some people who don't want to be cheered for.
Totally.
Like they don't want you to say their name. They don't want you to be in their face cheering. And like so, learning the psychology of how different people are motivated or how the goals of different people is so fascinating. And I think that is what sets, what my opinion, this gym apart is. Each person is treated differently, even though it's a group setting. Like you sort of feel like you're getting one-on-one treatment. All the time.
Yeah. If you ask me what my absolute favorite part of coaching is, I think it's the psychology of coaching, is the getting to dive into what people really want, even if they sometimes won't say it,
Or they might not even know.
Yeah, they might not know it, right?
I see that, especially the newer people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think even, I'm a big cardio fan. There are people who are starting to love cardio, and they will say, I never thought I would have loved cardio. Winter, one of them.
And there are a bunch of psychos, every one of them. One of them's a psycho. Yep.
But I think that's cool, is as you start to push people outside their comfort zone, they realize things that they might love or that they want to do that they didn't even know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So if I'm reading this correctly, you enjoy being a coach.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's, I mean, it's rewarding in more ways than I ever can imagine, and it's made me better at everything in my life.
Cool. That makes me happy to hear. So outside of coaching, you also own a marketing business, right? What's the name of that again?
So it's called Kate Ray Digital, but we are going through a name change.
Yeah, right. Another rebrand. Right?
Yeah.
So what do you go by right now?
I call it KRD, or just, my team. And I think that's been my biggest issue with it being, I started it as me. It was just me, which was fine. And, I got some advice that I should make it about me. And in hindsight, it's never about me. But I want it to be about my team and my clients and everything. So we're probably going to change that up.
I want to talk about that a little bit more in a second. First, what is the business? So anyone listening knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, so we do social media and digital marketing, which pretty much is anything on the internet. So we do search engine optimization, content creation, strategy, ads, and who knows, whatever else. As a business owner, people will come to you and you find a way to do it.
Yeah, you're like, how can I make a solution to your problem?
Exactly. Right. Anything that involves a computer, we're probably doing.
So you said you're going through a rebrand, right? And you know that we did that probably a year and a half ago at this point, right? Our first gym was called CrossFit Cape Coral. We decided to rebrand away from the CrossFit name. That was actually before your time. We rebranded to Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition, and then we opened up the other two gyms under that brand. Why are you going through a rebrand?
Yeah, I think it's changed. So I kind of fell into being a business owner. I was working my full-time job, and I had some side work, and then all of a sudden my side work was really fulfilling, and then it was making money, and then I quit my job, and here I am. So I didn't put a lot of time or thought into like what was going to be on my website, what my company name was going to be. It was just, you're going to figure it out. Took the jump, went for it. But now I do have 2 awesome employees, 3 actually now, and I want to grow, and it's everything we do is about them, my employees, and about our clients. It's never about me. Really, like, probably be last. And so, like, looking at the hierarchy of names, I'm down here and the company's up here. So I want to change the name to be about what we do and who we are versus my name. Yeah,
I understand that completely. I kind of fell into it as well. Like, I everything you said except for the making money part. I realized I liked it a whole lot more than what I was doing full time. I was like, this is what I want to do full time. And you're right, there wasn't a ton of forethought there, That's one of the cool things about a rebrand is you get to kind of put your hands in it and be like, all right, I now know things. I would like to do things a way that I didn't originally plan for. Let's go ahead and do that now.
Yeah, one of the things that made me, I already knew I wanted to coach when you asked me, but when you start being a coach, you gave me all that information. You said, like, read our mission statement, read our brand ethos, and if you agree with this, like, we want you. And that's something you don't do when you just fall into something. You don't have those types of things that both you and your clients and everything can always come back to. And so that's what I'm excited about. Is I know you've taken a lot of time to decide like who Sharkbite is, and you make decisions based on that, and I think that's really cool.
Well, yeah, it's nice, right? Because like as the business owner, it's very easy to be pulled into a million different directions, and if you don't create that framework, like that framework is like it's freedom, because you get to operate freely within that, and it makes it a whole lot easier to say things like, that's not something I'm interested in. Good for them. That's not a thing I would like to be participating in. You don't have to say them out loud, but have you had opportunities where you've decided like, I think it'd actually be better if I didn't do that in the business world?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's part of why I quit my job, to be honest, is I have a pretty good idea of who I am and what I believe in and what my morals are. And I definitely had worked on some clients. So I do marketing and advertising, and I'd worked on some clients in the past that I just like, I couldn't turn to my mom and say, I think you should use this product, but I was being paid to tell other people to use this product.
Yeah.
So that's like number one. When I quit, I knew like, I only take clients I would use or believe in. I only work with people who don't keep me stressed out and up at night. To be fair, business ownership is very stressful. There's a difference in a stressful person and somebody who's just like mean.
Yeah, totally.
And like isn't treating you or your people right. Like there's a big difference in that.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely have been able to turn some clients away and make some decisions.
Right, and that stuff gives you the framework for that. I love it. I love it. There are many times, especially in our CrossFit Cape Coral days, where I don't know if we had that established, and we would take on ideas that weren't bad. They just didn't help move us forward. They didn't fit the people we were trying to help most. You know? They didn't fit, like you said, the things I want to be working with. I like it, and I'm really excited to see what yours finish up as, because I know that that's helped me as the leader of this, decide who works for us. You know, what clients we pick up, what tasks we take on, what projects we start, what risks we take. You know, and it also helps me to know which ones not to do.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's awesome.
Now, part of owning a business, very specifically, is having employees, right? And we've talked about that a lot off air or off recording. We've got tons of small business owners at all these gyms, right? What are some of the things you've learned most about managing employees?
To listen to them. I think that for me has been so important. I've worked in a lot of environments where this is a really dumb example, but people will say, here's the project, I need it tomorrow at 4 p.m. versus here's the project, does it work with your schedule, and do you feel you could do your best work if you got this done by tomorrow at 4 p.m. and if not, when can you have this done? And just like those small things, like empowering them to come back to me with, based on their experience, their mindset, wherever they are that day, like how they can provide the best work to me is so much more important than me meeting a 4 o'clock deadline. When I decided to start offering benefits, I asked them what they wanted. Like, I know what I think I want, but who am I? Like, that's just what I want. So I went to them and I said, like, what would make you feel good as an employee? Like, and there's only a couple of them, so it makes it a little easier. But that has been really cool to be able to get their real-time feedback, and I don't think you get that at a big company.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you're right. I remember when we started offering benefits as well, we did the same thing. Like, I wanted to offer health insurance, and then it turns out that I was the only one without health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a great example of us kind of looking at, like, our situation and not thinking about, like, oh, wait, the point of offering employee benefits is to benefit the employees. We can't have that kind of thing unless we talk to them about it, right?
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, something that's been really important is mental health, and just making sure that people know that their health, their family, like, that's going to come first, and we'll work around whatever we have to work around. But like empowering people to make that decision that if they need a break or something's not right or they're not feeling good about something, to talk about it.
Well, now, what about helping your employees grow, right? Because we've talked about this, and I think that one of the coolest things, I feel weird calling it cool, but selfishly it's really cool, is helping employees grow, giving like affording them the opportunity to do that, right? How do you do that? How do you work through that?
So I think one of the things I find works the best is giving them something that pushes them outside their comfort zone. I do that a lot. I'll say, you know, here's everything you need to do whatever this project is, knowing pretty well that like it's a little bit outside of what they would normally do, but they learn through that process. If people keep going through the same routine and keep going through the same things, they're never going to learn. But also creating an environment where if they fail in that, it's okay. And so I think they jump into a lot of things that they maybe don't have the skill set for right now, but they learn real quick versus taking 8 years to learn something, slowly going through this process. So I think that's one thing for them I've like really pushed them to do. And I will sometimes send them an email and say, hey, I have this project. I don't know if you want to work on this, but like if you want to work on it, let's sit down and like walk through how to do it. And they like feel empowered to do that, which I think is really fun.
That's cool. I think people catch a lot of flack right now, especially for us in our 30s and the people below us in their 20s, and hopefully not employing any teenagers yet, but people in their 30s and 20s get a lot of flack for people saying that they don't want to work hard or that they're lazy, you know? And like, I think you and I are shining examples of why that's not true.
Yeah. I
just think that motivation is different, you know? In the old days, it was like, here's more money, work harder, you know? And I think we're lucky enough to realize, like, man, I've survived without money, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be poor, and I'm sure you don't.
No.
But giving a higher salary is not enough motivation to make people want to be unhappy, you know? And you have to, like you said, you have to find ways to motivate your employees. I had a really smart person say one time, higher level employees require higher level challenges, you know? Yeah. And it's not higher level salaries, although that should come with it. It's, you can pay someone as much money in the world if you want. If they're not engaged, if they're not enjoying what they're doing, if they're not challenged by what they're doing, they're going to look for something else.
Right. Or they're going to find, they can find the money somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's like, that's not what it's about. It's about like feeling good about what you're doing every day, feeling like whatever your purpose is, whatever gives you joy, like that's going to be different for everyone. But I think that's really important because you can find a job doing anything. I mean, really. Yeah. So part of being a business owner too is kind of diving into things, just diving into them, right? Yeah.
Like an example of that is this podcast, right? Like we have a ton of equipment set up, and I was not sure it was going to work. We are 30-ish minutes into this, and it's still working, I think.
Yeah. I hope.
What's an example of that you've had to do? So
I would say, and I would love your thoughts on this, my number one advice for business owners is to stop asking people if you can pick their brain. Because the only reason I got to where I am is I stopped asking people what they thought. And so I think it's just like across the board, business owners wait for everything to be perfect. They wait for their website to be perfect, their name to be perfect, their podcast to be perfect. If you are that type of mindset, you probably aren't going to be a great business owner, because being a business owner means like trying new things. It means failing. It means doing things you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, I have those situations all the time. And our minds are wired to tell us why we shouldn't do something. We're risk averse people. Like, we know why we shouldn't do something, and everyone in your circle knows why you shouldn't do it. So don't ask so many questions.
Yeah, right.
Just like, if you want to start the business, start the business. If you want to get on the podcast, start the podcast. So that for me, I think, with everything I do. I mean, it was beginning of June. Apparently this time of year is a good time of year for me.
Apparently.
It was the beginning of June, and I woke up one day and I called my dad and I said, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start a business. And he said, all right. And that was that.
Yeah.
Like, there was no, like, why you shouldn't do it. I didn't ask a bunch of people what they thought. I just did it.
So, man, how much time do we have? We can talk about that a lot. I hope Kelly's listening to this podcast. So Kelly was a member of our staff for a long time and a really good friend of mine. And she had to watch me learn some of those things right there. Like, Elon Musk recently came out and said, the founder of Tesla and a million other cool things. He's also kind of a crazy person. He said, I'm paraphrasing, if you need positive feedback, being an entrepreneur probably isn't for you.
No.
And like, that was the dickiest way to say that.
Yeah.
But I think what he meant, which I sort of agree with, is like, you just kind of have to accept that being an entrepreneur is like crazy lonely, right? Because it's kind of insane. Like, it's an insane thing to do. Like, nobody should want to do this, right? Because it's a ton of stress that can have a ton of reward also, right? But like you said, you're going to have people around you constantly saying, like, you probably shouldn't do that, and that's never been super beneficial to doing things.
You know why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I don't need to hear that.
Yeah, I don't need that feedback. No. I know that,
Like,
I'm aware I shouldn't, but probably going to do it anyway. So you kind of have to just accept, like, okay, I'm going to move forward with some risks. And like you said, if you ask too many people about them, they're going to highlight those risks and the downside a whole lot without thinking about the upside of it, And maybe it sounds like pie in the sky, but the reason that a lot of those positives don't come is because people get held up on those negatives, those possible negatives, right? Like, fear of failure has stopped so many people from success. Some basketball player I was listening to said this one time. He was like, I'm simply not afraid to fail, And like, that doesn't mean he's going to be successful. He's just not afraid of what the failure would be, right?
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people use fear as a motivator, but I don't personally think that that's the best motivator, Because fear makes you like turtle up and not do things.
Yeah.
I think opportunity for success is a way better motivator, right?
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Like, this isn't scary. It's fun if you go into it with the right mindset. Like, have I failed? Yes. Have I made mistakes? Yes. Like, would I have done things differently? Yes. But also, I wouldn't be where I am today. I had like an 80-something% growth in my business last year.
Yeah.
I would not have been there if I was like living in a place of fear.
Totally. Right.
There's no way.
Because you couldn't, right? And I think what you just said too is like, you grow from that. You and I are entrepreneurs, right? I wouldn't necessarily call myself a gym owner anymore. And I don't think I would call you necessarily a marketing business owner. We're entrepreneurs, right? So everything we're learning is to make us better entrepreneurs. And that's like the distinction that has to be understood, I think. It's like, failure is part of the process. You can't be successful in something without failing in something. And if you haven't failed, it's because you haven't failed yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's coming, dude.
Exactly.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Or it came and you didn't realize it.
Which I think happens a lot. I think if you're like working from a place of like abundance and like moving forward and learning and growing and like just loving what you truly do, like, you probably fail all the time and don't even notice it.
That's 100%.
It's not a failure to you.
Right. It's a learning opportunity. It's a growth point. It's the opportunity to say, like, we keep saying the word opportunity, but that's like what it is. It's like, okay, what could we do next? What could we do differently? What was unsuccessful there, and how can we leverage that to be more successful next time?
Yeah.
And I think, in less dickier terms, that's like what Elon Musk was trying to say. It was like you have to not view this as like a win-lose kind of thing. It's the process,
Yeah. And progress is not linear. Process is not linear.
And
that is one thing I've learned. Like, it is so up and down with whether it's an injury or owning a business or whatever it is. It's not looking like that. It's not going straight.
Yeah, right. Like, you get caught up in the minutia of like what's not successful right now, and then you look back a year and like, for us, we went from 1 gym to 3 in the craziest year of business ever. I got to remind myself, like, oh, maybe this one thing we're doing right now ain't that bad,
But I think that that's a testament because you don't live in a place of failure. I think a lot of people during the last year, COVID just happened, whenever you're listening to this, during the last year, people who live in a place of fear could have very easily shut down. You opened 3 gyms, you offered online stuff, we have online fitness nutrition groups that are people all over the place. And I think you took that as an opportunity to learn and grow versus like looking at it as a way to fail.
Yeah, there's almost going to be like a rebound effect now, right? Like we took the hits over the last year, and I think a lot of people realize over this last year, like, I don't think I want to be an entrepreneur anymore.
Yeah,
and I think
it's
that's
hard.
Yeah, that's totally okay. You know, there's lots of things I think I would suck at.
Yeah,
like I think that willingness to take risk probably makes us pretty bad employees. You know,
yeah,
like if we were to work in for somebody else's more structured business, we would probably not fit in so well and not be very successful. You know,
and probably be very bored. I kind of like the living on the edge of my seat. Like I love that I can wake up every day and get to decide what's going to happen with my business and with my that's cool. I like that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's for everyone.
I do too, and it's funny. I actually experienced a couple months where I think I maybe did a little too much of that, you know, and I realized like, okay, this type is not for me, you know. I needed a tad bit more structure than I had at the time, and what's nice is I got to say like, okay, let's fix that. I'm changing the structure now. You know?
Yeah, I will say that is an important thing. That is one thing I've learned. Yes, you can live outside the box, and yes, there doesn't have to be a regimented way of doing stuff. But as a business owner, some type of structure is very important because there are not enough hours in the day to run a business.
Totally right, and you could very easily work 23.99 hours.
Yes,
no problem. Well, you said something right before we came on, something about how everybody thinks if you own a business, you don't have any managers, you have no bosses, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's the reality to that?
You literally have 25 managers. People will be like, oh, just take the week off. You don't have to report to anyone. I'm like, yes, I report to my employees, to my vendors, to my the people I pay my bills to people I made commitments to. There's so many people that you report to.
Yeah. And that it gets better when you've created a better team, but it doesn't stop.
But you're going to get texts and Slack messages and emails. You can't really just disappear for a few weeks.
Right. And I think that's the fallacy of business ownership people talk about. Maybe if you're making billions, you know, but that's because you're paying somebody an outrageous amount of money to do that stuff for you.
Exactly.
You know? Not the same.
Small business and big business, they're very
different. They shouldn't be called the same thing.
No, they shouldn't.
Like Uber corporations versus 9 or 10 dudes trying to help each other out. That's a totally different story. You were real big into travel, right? Big travel person. Tell me why. Because when we talked about your career roadmap and your future, your mid and long-term goals, traveling was definitely part of that.
Yeah, so I have traveled a lot since I was little. I feel really thankful. My parents are big travelers, and so we grew up, we maybe didn't go on vacation for 3 years, but then we would go to Tahiti. We grew up, and what I loved about that is they always made us journal. So we had to talk about the people we met and the foods that we ate and the things that we read about and the things we learned. So I fell in love with the culture of travel. I love going somewhere and taking a local cooking class and then asking the cab driver where the coolest underground bars are. I collect cookbooks, and so I love the tastes and flavors and sounds of travel, whether I'm with myself or with other people. I love just experiencing new places.
It's kind of absorbing the area.
Yeah. I've never been to Disney World, and I live in Florida.
Really?
Yeah, but I actually really want to go to Harry Potter World, and I heard you're the person to ask.
Dude. How much time do we have again?
We're going to have a whole podcast on Harry Potter World.
I love Harry Potter Land so much. I love that. I love Harry Potter World and Universal more than almost anything else in my life.
That's awesome. What do you love about it?
What don't I love about it? There is nothing at Harry Potter Land that I don't love. I don't love that I haven't been able to get on the newest ride for 4 years because the line is too damn long. But aside from that, when I got back from Iraq the first time, you get a something called leave, block leave in the middle of your deployment if your deployment's long enough. And I had a week and a half in the middle of a 15-month deployment, right? I could have gone anywhere in the world, and I went to the opening of Harry Potter World.
That's awesome.
So 4 or 5 days after it opened. I was in line for 6 hours for the Hogwarts ride, and that might have been the best 6 hours of my life.
I love that.
It was amazing. You walk in, just the ambiance of Harry Potter. I'm a massive nerd. I don't know if you know this.
Same.
I read comic books. I play video games. I was pretty much raised by television, Comedy Central, and cartoons. So I would be in school, ignoring schoolwork and reading books, right? And I'd be getting bad grades, and they'd be like, why don't you just read the book for the school? I'm dude, it's Animorphs, right? I'm reading Animorphs. I have to read this. So Harry Potter was one of my biggest obsessions. So getting to see that in real life was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like Harry Potter.
I love Harry Potter.
Well, I was going to say that much. If you like it even a little bit, you're going to love it. Because the moment you walk in, the air feels different. They got the music going. They got the colors going on. There's dragons blowing smoke at you. This is not a paid advertisement, but I would do it for free. Dude, Hold on, Universal, if you want to sponsor the Shark Bite show, I am about it. Just give me one free pass a year, please. It's amazing. Like, dude, we got to go up there.
I want to go.
So much fun.
I think like maybe people who love Harry Potter, I'd be interested in a study. I think people who like Harry Potter like that it is like free and like just like a little, it's not like inside a box. And it's a lot cuckoo. Like being a business owner.
Yeah, it's a little cuckoo.
And I wonder if a lot of business owners are also like Harry Potter. It's a little crazy.
Have you ever done the Sorting Hat?
No.
What?
I need to start.
Okay, you're definitely a Hufflepuff.
I think I am.
Yeah.
I can see that. What are you?
Definitely. I'm a Gryffindor. Come on.
See, I want to be a Gryffindor.
I will knock this mic off. All right. Steph's a Hufflepuff too. So.
Oh, that makes sense.
Man, we just lost a lot of people. I don't know who listens to our podcast, but I know that a bunch of them just turned it off. I don't care.
They're lost.
We're going to do the next 5 episodes on Harry Potter.
I'm here.
So I think we've talked about a bunch of things. You came from a different style gym, right? I would say you've acclimated pretty strongly into like our style of gym now, right? What would you tell new people? Somebody who's like scared to try it out or apprehensive.
So I actually thought a lot about this because I knew you were going to ask me.
Okay.
Well, 2 things. First of all, I worked out at least every other day since I had my surgery. You would not do that in most gyms.
That's true.
So if you are injured and want to come in, or you're afraid of getting injured or anything, come in. There will be a way for you to get around it. But what I would tell people, if you looked at all of the awesome things in your life, things that bring you joy, things that bring you good memories, things that make you happy, I guarantee all of them came with some sort of discomfort and uneasiness. Like, nothing great comes without that moment of discomfort, and that's exactly what this gym will do. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel a little bit weird at first. You have to learn new things, but I can guarantee if you stay with it, it'll be that moment. You will find incredible things way outside just the way your body looks and how strong you are.
Damn. that was good. That was really good. Okay. Well, I mean, Katie, I've loved having you here, dude. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, come on into 6 a.m.
Yeah,
Shark Bite Fort Myers.
Katie's usually coaching the Shark Bite Fort Myers 6 a.m. and sometimes 6 p.m. classes, right? If people wanted to find you and your marketing company, how would they do that?
So my CrossFit yoga company is Let's Really Live, our website and social media. My marketing company for now, find us now, is Kate Ray Digital. Kate, R-A-E Digital. We actually offer really, really awesome social media tips for small business owners, so recommend following the Instagram. There are actually some really great tips there. Cool.
Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Shark Bite Show. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition, or on our website at sharkbitefitness.com. If you'd like to find out more about our guests, their information will be in the show notes. If you'd like to talk to us about getting more fit, feel free to schedule a free no-sweat intro at one of our locations in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, or Naples, Florida.